guys, it is April from Getting Hooked with It. Today I am here to do the build a book tag. I am here with Nora. She's going to join us for this video. This was created by Leanne from Literary Diversions, and she also tagged me in it. So here I am doing it. It's such a fun tag. Let's get into it. Before we get into the questions, I wanted to mention that if you like this video, please hit the like button. It really supports my channel, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's dive into the questions. There are, how many? 8 in total? So we're gonna dive right in. Such a fun tag. I don't know how she came up with this, but ingenious Leanne. Who's shocked? No one. No one is. So the whole point of this is that you create a book based on the books that you love, the genres, the endings, all of these things that you've loved, and you would like kind of create your own book. And I wonder if this is kind of what authors do to like come up with books on their own. I have no idea. Anyway, question number 1, genre. A book that reflects your ideal novel's genre and mood. I think a lot of you think I'm going to either be reaching for thriller or historical fiction, and you'd kind of be right because kind of a mix. My favorite genre is Gothic fiction. I love it so much. So Rebecca, I would say, is one of the most Gothic books I can think of. This is by Daphne du Maurier, and this is about a woman who marries a man quite suddenly, and she moves with him to his home at Manderley. He is a wealthy man, and she's not. And when she gets there, she learns more about his first wife, Rebecca, who has passed away. Everyone loved Rebecca. The servants loved Rebecca. Rebecca becomes a kind of ghost in their lives. It's very eerie. There's a servant in here. I think her name is Mrs. Danvers. She is horrible and loved Rebecca in a way that will not allow our main character to have room in the house. Like she can't stand her basically, and really creepy and ominous sometimes. I adored this book. So yeah, Gothic all the way. So question number 2. Main character. If you could pull a main character from any book on your shelves, who would it be? And I chose like a classic beloved character. I chose Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre has so much depth to her. She's self-possessed. She can be innocent and also so wise. I just think Jane is one of those people that watches the world from the safe space within herself and is calculated, not in a cruel way, but calculated, and she thinks things through, but she also has this huge heart, and I really love Jane. It's funny because I read this book twice now. Once when I was in my 20s and once when I was in my late 30s, and I loved Jane so much more in my late 30s, even though she's in her 20s, I think, when this takes place. She's just so mature and has gone through so much in her life that I think she would be like the perfect main character, don't you think? I think she'd be fantastic as a main character in a Gothic kind of book.
Me from the future, I just wanted to mention, I know that Jane Eyre is a Gothic book. So I don't know why I had to say I'd like to see her in that setting when it is Gothic already. Just wanted to mention it in case everyone loses their minds.
Because so much is going to be happening around her, and I think she'll have the presence of mind to stay still within herself to a certain extent, obviously reacting, but also to know what to do in the setting. So, Jane Eyre. Sorry about that. I needed to go downstairs and get Nora a bottle because she was having none of this filming stuff. She would not do it. Okay, so Supporting character. Who would be your main character's sidekick? And I feel like I've gone with someone who's like not a classic character in any way. Very different in a contemporary book. I chose Eleanor from Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. I chose her because Eleanor has a lot of layers to her as well as Jane. She seems like someone who is very difficult to get along with. She is someone who's very difficult to get along with. She really is. In this book, you follow her at work. Nobody really likes her at work. She goes home on the weekends and drinks like an obscene amount, like too much. She has major problems. And one day she kind of befriends one of the guys on the IT team because a man falls in the street. And they become friends, and it is watching her unravel and open herself up. And I feel like she and Jane would get along really well because Jane is very patient with characters who aren't always likable. She's patient. She'll also put them in their place, which I think Eleanor needs sometimes. But she's also kind, and I think she would be patient enough to wait for Eleanor to open herself up to her. And in an ominous setting, I wonder if that would happen quickly or not. I don't know, but I feel like Eleanor as a sidekick would be really, really great. Eleanor can be protective of people, but she can also be protective of all sorts of people, good people, bad people, and I think that makes for an interesting addition to a storyline. I think at least. Question number 4. Trope. What trope can you not get enough of? Request a couple of books that you love that have used this trope. And for me, the trope is girl or boy or whoever, character goes to a house or a dwelling that is probably lush and beyond what they've usually experienced, and bad stuff happens at the house. Like, it seems like a dream come true, but then it's not. So I have 2 examples of this. The first is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This is his latest book that he came out with last year in the summer, and it's so good. Very Rosemary's Baby-esque. This is about a girl who is very much down on her luck. She finds out that her boyfriend is cheating on her. She lived with him. Now she has to move out. Like, she is basically couch surfing in New York. And she gets the opportunity to go to stay at the Bartholomew apartment building. And she's there to apartment sit. And there are all sorts of rules that she needs to follow when she gets there. And it's a beautiful apartment, but she does get the feeling that the people who live there are strange. She feels watched sometimes in her apartment, like she hears footsteps and stuff when she's asleep at night. So creepy. I loved this so much. Ruth Ware, her latest one, The Turn of a Key, would be another example. But I wanted to also suggest a more gothic version of that, which is The Silent Companions. A more gothic version of that trope, I should say. So The Silent Companions follows a woman who is pregnant. She goes to live at her husband's estate. She's recently married. So this is meant to be her new home, but her husband dies very suddenly. So she's a widow, pregnant, and goes to this home where there are these figures that are called silent companions. And these figures are like child size, and she starts finding them in random places around the house. Basically, they're terrifying creatures, like weird figures, and I can't even imagine being in that position. And being a woman in this time, not really having any authority over your own life very much, it would be just terrifying. And yeah, so that's a really fun one. Number 5, plot twist. Which book has your favorite plot twist? Now, I feel like I can't really say what it is, but it's Sometimes I Lie has multiple plot twists. This book has more plot twists than any other book that I've ever read, and I loved them all. One of them in particular really I fell in love with. In this book, we're following a woman who is in a coma. She's kind of aware of her surroundings, her husband and her sister there, and she's terrified because she thinks one of them put her in the coma to begin with. So we follow her, I think, a week or two leading up to her being in the coma. We follow her in the coma, and then we follow these diary entries written by a child. And in particular, it's all of the child diary entries and the twists that go on there that I loved so much. This was a lot of fun. So I'd want twists like this in my book. Okay, question number 6, relationships. What kind of relationship is important in your book? Show us your favorite bookish example of this kind of relationship. And for me, this is the absence of motherhood and the longing for motherhood. So it's the absence of a child can be a relationship because you have created in your mind the child. I have experienced this with infertility and also miscarriage. I would imagine my child and the loss of that child, not having them, was almost a character in my life within itself. And I also love the absence of a child, but being a mother and having the absence of a child, either a child that was born or adopting. So the example of this that I can think of is The Light Between Oceans. We follow 2 mothers in here and the absence of a child, and it is so good. The Light Between Oceans follows 2 people who take care of a lighthouse on Janus Rock. So it's a very solitary kind of job, and they deal with major infertility, lots of miscarriages, and then one day a boat comes to shore. There's a dead man in the boat and a living and breathing baby. And so it's about motherhood and absence of motherhood, and I loved this book. It also does something in here that I adore, which is basically showing you that there's so much gray in the world, and you know, people can have very staunch beliefs of what is right and wrong, and this makes you question what is right and wrong, and maybe there's more gray than you think. And I love that in a book so much. So The Light Between Oceans. Question number 7, villain. Which villain would you steal for your book? And this was very easy to answer. Amy from Gone Girl. She's probably my favorite character of all time. I love her. I don't know what that says about me. This follows a couple, Amy and Nick. Amy goes missing, and everyone thinks that Nick killed her. And it's about their relationship. We follow diary entries of Amy's where she's trying to work things out with her husband, but she's really struggling in their marriage. And it is just so good. Gillian Flynn or Gillian Flynn, I should say, is one of the most ingenious writers of villains, I would say. She makes you feel so uncomfortable. This book makes you feel incredibly uncomfortable. It will make you so happy. If you are in a happy marriage, probably even if you're in an unhappy marriage, you'll like kind of feel a little bit better about your marriage, because it's not this one. So, but yeah, this book made me feel very, very grateful for Barry, and made me want to stop. Like, I felt uncomfortable reading it because it felt claustrophobic. So good. Oh my God. Okay, so yes, Amy all the way. And question number 8 is ending. Which kind of ending do you like? All wrapped up, open-ended, or something else? Give an example of your favorite kind of ending. And I like endings where I like books where you get to the end, and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to read that all over again because I read it this way, and now I'm thinking I have read it wrong, or I could reread it and read an entirely different book. The Turn of the Screw does this by Henry James, and so does I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. Whew, this follows a girl who is on a road trip with her boyfriend. They're going to his house. She's going to meet the parents for the first time. She should be super excited. Instead, she's thinking of ending things. And it's this very weird road trip. And the ending was something that'll just like blow your mind. Truly, 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 it will blow your mind. Short little book, tiny. Oh my gosh, so much fun. I loved that book. There's one scene in there that I'll never forget in my entire life. It has to do with a window and a smile, and I will not say anything else. Oh, I want to reread it now. Okay, so I have 3 people I want to tag for this. I want to tag Lauren from Lauren and the Books. I want to tag Olive from A Book Olive, and I also want to tag Katie from Life Between Words. I hope you guys do this. I think you'd have a lot of fun doing it. And I'm done. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this book tag. It was so much fun to do. Thank you, Leanne, for tagging me and creating this tag. Also, in the description box below, you can go check me out at other places. Instagram, Goodreads, my Amazon wishlist is down there. Yeah, I hope that you guys are doing well, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Nora, do you want to say goodbye? What do you say? Yeah. Goodbye. This is good, baby. Oh, thank you for doing that with me. Yeah, okay. Oh, jump, jump. Jump, jump. Jump, jump.